Petrus, can you provide a brief summary of when and how you became involved with board of directors?
Thank you very much for inviting us. I've been involved in corporate governance for approximately 8 years when I was invited to participate to become a member of the board of directors of some average-sized companies. After that, I was invited to do a very special kind of job, which was very important in my life. This was the board of directors of Petrobras. And Petrobras, as we all know, had very many compliance issues, which are all well known. And I also member of the board of directors of BR Distribuidora, the company that distributes Petrobras byproducts. And I was also on the board of directors of BRF. In addition, I was on many committees that provide advisory services to other boards of directors. Basically, I worked with small and medium-sized companies. Thank you very much, Jeff and Stephen, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. The first board of directors that I was a member of was in 1992. This was a family-owned concern in the interior of the state of São Paulo, where there were three heiresses that were totally unfamiliar with the business. And when the founder of the company passed away, these three heiresses started to participate as board members. And I was hired to be the president of this board of directors and to coach these three heiresses. So in the course of 8 years, I was a board member of this. I was a chairman, and I also coached these three heiresses about the business, and I advised them on clients and other issues. And I also I taught these three heiresses finances and accounting. Then I became a CEO of the Brazilian Corporate Governance Institute, which is the main governance institute in Latin America. And in the course of these last 18 years, I worked for this institution until last year. And during this time, I also had the opportunity of being a member in other boards, including 2 international boards. Last year, I left the institution which I was heading, and I became an independent member. Today, I am part of the National Social Development Bank of Brazil, the BNDES. I'm also a member of the MAFRE group, a Spanish group in the insurance industry. And I also am part of audit committees. So this was my involvement with boards of directors and governance. Roberto. Good evening. I began my activities in corporate governance in the year 2000 when I created, together with other people, I founded a board of a group which at the time had acquired the famous Jari project in the Amazon region. This was a pulp and paper project for one of the biggest packaging companies in Brazil. And I set up the first board of directors of this group. The company is an unlisted company. It was unlisted at the time. And then my career in this respect was linked to international boards, basically focused on agriculture and forestry, for example, the Forestry Stewardship Council. And I was the chairman of the board of this council for 3 years. Then I was part of the Global Reports Initiative. And I was involved with the boards of various entities in the social environmental sector, for example, WWF and other such entities. At the moment, I'm a member of the board of MAFRIG, of Wise Plásticos, and of Araqueau, which is a nonprofit institution that is headed by Guilherme Leal. NASDAQ proposed
to the SEC back in December 2020. And just recently, the German lawmakers approved a rule aimed at boosting women in corporate room. in June 2021. What is happening in Brazil? Could you tell us more about it?
This change that is happening all around the world. In 2003, Norway was the first country to establish this, and this was followed by other countries, countries that were concerned about gender diversity. Other countries such as France or Finland, and recently Germany, also the state of California, started to adopt quotas to, for saying establishing a specific number of women on the board, on boards. When we talk about diversity, I'm in favor not only for gender diversity, but I also advocate the fact that diversity has to include aspects such as academic education, professional experience. It's important to have generation diversity, which was an issue that was not discussed. And generation diversity is even more recent than gender diversity. Geographic diversity is another issue. If you have global representation, this is something very important. And it's important to have, as members of the board, people who are familiar with different cultures that come from different places around the globe. So here in Brazil, this issue has been around for a long time. The first time it came up was in 2010 through the proposal of a senator, of a madam senator. And at that time, she said that companies that had, where shareholding interest was held by the government, had to have 25% of women as board members. This issue went through committees in Congress, congressional committees, but this proposal did not move forward. And this year, a new congresswoman called Tabata Amaral, she presented a bill of law, Bill of Law 12-1422. The proposal is that at least 30% of board of directors be made up of women. So it's not only for companies where shareholding interest is held by the government. This is for all listed companies that are, companies whose shares are traded on the Brazilian Stock Exchange. Thought there was this percentage increase. So the first idea was to have 25%, and now the bill of law proposes that 30% of the board members be made up of women. So there's also a proposal that the first bill of law be revised. So after 20 years, and today the listed companies in Brazil, the seats, 11% of the seats on the boards are taken up by women. So the institute that I represented started to measure this in 2004. The number there were only 6% of women on the boards of directors, but from 2014 to 2021, there was a small evolution in terms of numbers of how many women sit on boards. So 11% of the seats on Brazilian boards of directors are comprised of women. We don't have statistics on all the companies in this respect. Just to add on, why is it important for women to sit on boards? Women have less risk appetite than men. Several surveys, academic research studies have also shown this. Women are not afraid to ask questions. Women are not afraid of saying, I don't understand something, I want an explanation. And so there are various research studies that show that the participation of men is more active when there's this balance, or when there are women that sit on boards as well. The level of absenteeism goes down when women sit on boards. And there's a McKinsey survey that shows that the company's financial results are better when there's a gender diversity on the board of directors. So this is what I had to say in this respect.
Eu queria fazer comentário.
I would just like to add a comment. Now, I agree totally with what Luisa said, but I think we have to discuss this with this. We also have to discuss racial diversity in countries such as Brazil. This issue is extremely important and has to be addressed within ESG and all the discussions on diversity, because the diversities, as you said, Luisa, it's not only one diversity, it's several diversities. And in situations which entail broad experience of any kind, gender, race, culture, whatever, all of this will certainly help the company deal with different issues that arise. This bill of law from Congresswoman Tabata also provides for racial diversity, but for the feminine gender. We're talking about this. There's a work group that's already been set up and which is providing advice to this Congresswoman. And the idea is that this bill of law encompass not only female diversity, racial female diversity, but also male female racial diversity. What I agree with what Luis and Roberto said. Something that is hybrid is stronger. Therefore, diversity is the expression of society as a whole, and it represents the complexity of a society. I would like to address another issue. In addition to the diversity on the boards and of company management as a whole, I think that it's absolutely crucial in terms of company development within current capitalism is that companies be able to promote diversity and equality in society, because it will be, from my point of view, will be worthless to have boards with diversity, and if this does not echo from in the social point of view, especially in countries such as Brazil and India, or even in the United States. The United States today is quite an unequal country, so the role of boards of directors and managers also has to be a role in the sense of promoting diversity and equality, and it cannot be only formal. It has to be real equality, and this has to be done for various reasons. The first reason is because of principles. It's good for humanity, but there's also a business reason behind this, because the social development and economic development will be the way to have more stability from the political point of view and from the point of view of the development of society. One of the major reasons for this worsening of social relations is the lack of diversity, and because of the existence of this very obvious inequality. And to modernize corporate governance and to modernize companies, this means that reducing inequality is a sign of progress. So board of directors have to be very aware of this task, just as important as having women and Blacks on board of directors. It's also important to have policies that really reflect this diversity.